Hello, Peekers. Welcome back. I'm Miranda.
And I'm Mackenzie, and this is your one-stop shop for storytelling.
Tea spilling.
And to keep up with all the book talk drama that you have been missing out on.
Hell yeah. So we are back today, and we are going to be covering Sarah J. Maas's Crown of Midnights, 45 to the end. And I'm so hyped because you know why, Mackenzie?
Why?
Because things are going to be getting so real.
Are they? They're starting to get real right now?
Yes, and don't get tired of that because I will keep saying it.
Every time things are starting to get crazy.
I'm like setting the bar up here and then I'll be delivering a very mid episode. But no, I'm just kidding. It does get real. I do my best, okay?
Yeah, you're doing great.
Do you want to do any life updates? Do you want to spill any tea?
Let's see. I had a wedding weekend this past weekend.
Me too.
Wait, you had a wedding weekend?
Yeah.
Were you one of 13 bridesmaids?
Barely.
You were number 13 of 13.
I made the cut, so yeah, we'll take that.
That's okay. I think I was 11, so that's okay.
Yeah.
It was fun. We had so much fun, and I had food poisoning last week. That was one day. And then on Sunday after the wedding weekend, also almost died, couldn't speak. I think the drinking and the dehydration from the previous illness and all of that caught up to me. So for a week off, all in all, it was mid. I'll say that.
Yeah, well, if it makes you feel any better, I self-diagnosed myself with uveitis also during the wedding weekend. But I do blame that to the North Carolina allergies and the wedding festivities that we partaked in. And then also, on that note, the wedding weekend was also on me and Colby's second wedding anniversary.
Not the wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
How about I get married in a few years on June 15th as well? So we can all just keep sharing wedding anniversaries.
It would be really easy to keep up with, and then that would give us an excuse to actually keep hanging out together, too.
Yeah,
we could have,
could do
joint
couples
parties.
Trips, all that stuff. Yeah.
I really wouldn't be opposed to that, honestly. I really wouldn't.
But should I get married on a different day so that we can have multiple parties?
Ooh. If you're going to keep having multiple parties for each anniversary.
Why not, you know? Honestly,
right.
You might have a vow renewal before I get married at this point. So
perhaps.
Don't know.
We'll see. We'll see where the times take us. Who knows? But we'll decide. I think that it would be really fun for us to have a joint thing for it. We already have basically the joint birthdays, so I guess a wedding really wouldn't be that outlandish.
Maybe we'll just rock and roll with it. We'll just keep going. We'll just
party year round. Yeah, you just
your
keep
whole
following.
life. I'll keep doing everything you do.
It's fine. It's fine. All right. Well, is that everything that we have to share right now?
That's all. Nothing more.
All right. We want to give that quick disclaimer that we are going to be retelling the story that happens up to and through Crown of Midnight chapters 45 to the end. So if you have not read this part or you do not want any spoilers, you have been warned. Before we get started, let's do a quick recap of everything that's happened so far. Celaena killed Baba Yellowlegs, who turned out to be the matriarch of the Yellowleg Witch clan. We learned that demons from another realm, the Valg, broke 3 pieces of the Word Gate to have unlimited access to and from other worlds, and their 5-year plan will always be to conquer Irula. Lady Caltaine is being forced to marry Duke Parrington in some mysterious scheme he and the king have going on. Celaena and Dorian encountered some spooky creature in the castle basement, and Dorian exposed his powers to her. And after running to the broom closet to cry, Chaol has officially given me the ick. Did I miss anything?
Nope, you covered it perfectly.
Slay, period. All right, well, let's get into this story time. We are going to be picking up after Celaena and Dorian debrief what just happened in the basement. Celaena is walking around thinking about the creature she just killed, how it looked like a morph creature between a demon and a human. And it makes her wonder if it's part of the greater scheme that Lady Caltaine was worried about. So she goes down to the royal dungeons to ask her, but when she gets there, she finds that Lady Caltaine's cell is already empty. She's gone off to marry Duke Parrington and Morath. So after this dead end, Celaena has another revelation that develops, and she realizes that this quote on Elena's tomb is actually an anagram. She figures out Time's a rift actually means I am the first, aka the first of the 3 word keys. I know we didn't really discuss this quote, but in my defense, I have already said that I read quotes as quotes and not as secret riddles. But putting my stupidity aside, I can't help but admire how smart she is with all the trauma that she's going through right now, how she was able to even put all of that together.
Yeah, no, that is very impressive on her part. Also, no hate to you. I'm so sorry. I do think that it is an anagram. But it's okay. It's all good.
No. I need this. I need this. Yeah.
It's
Anagram.
all good. But no, our girlie is smart. We'll give her that. She's a smart girlie.
She's a clever girlie. So after she figures out this anagram, she goes back down to the tomb and she looks to where the key should be. But of course, it's missing. It was supposed to be under the crown of Celaena. And even when she was realizing that, I was like, it seems a little too obvious for someone not to have found that already. And the ever so helpful Mort is like, yeah, the king actually got that back when he was in his 20s. He actually might have 2 now. And, this just reiterates my concern for why we even have Mort in this story right now. He seems like the least helpful character I've ever encountered in my life.
Yeah. So I don't know how well we talked about it, but she was hoping that it was a word key that she was going to find. Mm-hmm. Mort confirmed that there was a cute little word key there. And he's a piece of shit because he could have just told her this whole time, don't worry about those riddles. The word key's gone. The king found it way back yonder. He literally is the worst. Why is he even here?
I'm serious. Does he have a redemption arc? Because he needs one. I don't know why he's here.
He can't move from the castle. I don't know what kind of redemption arc anyone thinks he's going to have. Spoiler, he doesn't, in case you're wondering.
Oh.
He's an idiot.
I really thought he was going to come and clutch for something because it seems like he was like, yeah, I've been here for millennia and I've seen everything that goes on in here, but I am not going to tell you anything.
No, he's a fucking idiot.
Anyways, so this whole situation is very triggering to Celaena because she's still very unwell from the death of Nehemiah and their last words. And she's even more upset learning that Nehemiah was working on this very task, trying to find these word keys to stop the king. So Celaena is like, fuck it. She grabs the Walking Dead book. She goes down to another room in the secret tunnel to open up a portal to see if she can conjure up Nehemiah. Well, she does it, and Nehemiah appears, so Celaena immediately drops to her knees. She sobs, she tells her how sorry she is, how much she loves her, and Nehemiah is essentially like, you dumb bitch, you're opening a portal, this is so dangerous, I knew my fate, and I'm okay with it, I'm at peace now, so go follow yours, also, I love you.
Yeah, I don't know what she was thinking, because this is how... I mean, from what it's described when she's like doing her research and reading through the word key books and stuff, like it sounds like this is how Cain also in the first book summoned the Riderek, like the type of ritual she's doing to open a gate to somewhere. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what the fuck she's thinking is going to happen. I mean, yeah, she saw Nehemiah, but like, I feel like for all the crazy stuff that she's seen and that has happened to her, it doesn't seem like a good idea.
Doesn't seem like we were just talking about how smart and clever she was, and now she's opening portals.
She's making us look like idiots right now, honestly.
Yeah. I just want to support our girl, and she's making me question.
For a main character, things. She does do a lot of questionable things.
But we love the chaotic parts of her. Right?
She's what would she be? Good. A chaotic good? I don't know. I think she might be a chaotic neutral. I think she'd be
like a chaotic neutral. Mm-hmm. Because I think that she'd be willing, like obviously she's willing to kill and like do what she needs to do and whatnot. But
side note on that, sorry guys, tangent. I took the test that Miranda's talked about, and turns out I am what was it? A neutral evil. What the? So, okay, everyone who's listening, evil? I hope you know I'm a villain, okay? So don't ask me for anything because I'm apparently going to just do for whatever I need. Just FYI.
Hey, honestly, though, that's respects to you. I wish I could be the villain. I'm just a saint, I
am
guess.
Slytherin.
What's it called when you're on a job interview? My worst trait is that I care too much. I'm just such a good person.
Well, I guess mine would be I'll do whatever it takes to get the job I need to get done. So,
period. So they have a quick little talk. Nehemiah tells Celaena she needs to hurry up and close this portal ASAP before something else gets brought up. And just as Nehemiah disappears, Fleetfoot, Celaena's dog, comes running in, which is interesting because she usually refuses to go down this tunnel. And as Celaena is turning around, she sees Archer standing at the door. Archer is telling her that Nehemiah told him about this tunnel and the tomb before she died, and since she's passed, he's been down here every night to watch. And then he's like, I don't know how you open these portals or that portal, but this is really great news because now you and I can work together and we can kill everyone.
That's such a crazy plot twist. Like, we figured out that Nehemiah and Archer were working together, but it seems like from what Archer is telling Celaena now, he's apparently a neutral evil. He apparently is a neutral evil, and he was just working with Nehemiah to further his own cause, and he really doesn't give a fuck about what happened to Nehemiah. Sounds like.
Yeah, because his whole motive in the book, seems like he's just trying to get back at the big guys who've put him in this role that he's in right now as a courtesan, being abused most of his life, being like taken advantage of, blah, blah, blah. So he wants to kill everybody because of that. That's a terrible excuse to kill people, in my opinion, but I digress. And while all of this is happening, Dorian is upstairs in his room having a terrifying dream where the old King Gavin is warning him that Celaena is in a great danger and he needs to go save her now. So Dorian has a feeling, though, that he's going to need some backup. So he goes to Chaol and he tells them the situation, and then they speed walk down to Celaena's room. And I know that this is a tense situation, but I kind of find it a little bit comedic because I'm just imagining the two of them like speed walking, trying to keep it low key, even though they know that Celaena has gotten herself into deep shit again.
Also, like, I can only imagine Chaol's like annoyance that Celaena's in another freaking annoying situation that she's kind of put herself in, and two, Dorian coming to him and being like, I had a dream. This is really bad. We gotta go. This is serious.
Yeah. No, I feel like Chaol's a real good friend in this point because I'd be like, go to sleep. It is a dream.
No, you really would. You'd be like, do you think they're still breathing? Leave them. They're fine.
We said, where's your facts? I don't know. So back in the tomb with Archer, Celaena notices Archer's tattoo on his wrist, which looks now awfully similar to the symbol besides Nehemiah's note in the word book saying, do not trust. And Celaena is like, shiz, okay, let me play into my feminine energy so he doesn't know I'm onto him. And she's like, wow, you are so smart and so cunning. Why didn't you tell me your plan was to make everyone pay? Nehemiah was so fake for not helping you find these keys in the portals. We should definitely kill everyone. And Archer is just eating this up. And he's like, wow, really? I didn't think you'd be so chill like that. Well, here's some more tea. I actually hired Grave to kill her because she was holding us back from this very plan. So we kidnapped Chaol so he wouldn't be there to save her from being hit that night. And two things. Fuck you, Archer. I was so into you in the first half of this book. And the second part is I'm just really glad that Archer is turning out to be a fake asshole because now Celaena can see that Chaol is still a good guy and he probably would have been there to save Nehemiah if he could have.
Yeah, I feel like at the very least, this is going to give Celaena like a different perspective of Chaol. Like, obviously, all the reasons that she is upset with him are still valid, but it really does put a big twist on the fact that there were forces in play working specifically to kill Nehemiah, and that, sure, maybe if he would have said something, she could have done something, but at the same time, I don't think the king was on her side either. Like, there were so many forces in play to take Nehemiah out, you know? So that's got to give her a little bit of compassion for him.
That's what I was thinking when I was reading this part, because I feel like she has to know that Chaol wouldn't just idly sit by when he knows that there's somebody in danger that they all care about. So I feel like that gives a little redemption. Too bad she's already tried clawing his face off and killing him.
Too bad she said, you will always be my enemy. If I ever break up with a friend or something like that, and it's like a really toxic breakup, that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to be like, you will always be my enemy. That's my neutral evil.
No, I think that's valid. I think they need to know what they've done and that they've crossed that line. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay, so they're about to lunge into this fight when another creature begins to emerge from that open portal. Jump forward a minute, Dorian and Chaol catch up and they run into the tomb, and they do not like the scene they run into. Celaena is face down on the ground with an obvious head injury. Fleetfoot is guarding over her from this giant, scary creature. Chaol, without hesitation, jumps in to try to kill it or hold it off, while Dorian runs to Celaena to make sure she's still alive. And Archer's a little bitch who takes the opportunity to run away with the Walking Dead book. Dorian is trying to pull Celaena out of the tomb, and it's at this point that I gotta say it. I know he gave me the ick, but I will lose it if Chaol dies trying to hold off this monster and save them while Celaena is realizing that he's not the real villain.
Yeah, I feel like this would be the worst situation if he does die. I feel like our girl, she's pretty reverent in what she feels. Like, I don't think she would ever feel like I was wrong in feeling what I felt. But I do think the guilt of knowing that she never had a chance to reconcile with him, if something happens to him, would absolutely destroy her.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so that's when this next part really had me wanting to pull out my hair. So bear with me while my inner monologue bleeds out a little bit to this. Consider it dramatic effects. As Dorian is getting Celaena out of the tomb, she starts yelling for Fleetfoot. Turns out Fleetfoot was too injured to run, and Chaol sees her in the corner the same time the demon spots her. The demon grabs Fleetfoot and jumps through the portal, and at this point I'm just like, Jesus Christ, not the dog. And then to make things worse, Chaol jumps in after her to get Fleetfoot, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, not Chaol.
Oh.
And I'm just freaking out.
When I was reading this book, I'm getting like chills thinking about it right now. When I was reading this part, first of all, I was like, if Fleetfoot dies in this freaking realm, I don't know if I'll be able to continue. It'll be like a Glenn type death in The Walking Dead. If Fleetfoot freaking dies, I was like, I will rage. I will riot. And then when freaking Chaol goes after the dog,
I was like, what is your game plan here, my guy? What are you going to do?
But that is so respectable. As much of an idiot and like ick as he's given us, that is like, the
redemption
only
arc.
reason he went into that other world, that portal or whatever, to save Fleetfoot was for Celaena. That's the only reason.
Yeah. So take notes, men who are listening. If you want to get back with your girl, just put yourself in danger, life or death danger, for their dog, or get them a dog, and I'm sure things will be well.
If it comes down to it, sacrifice yourself for the dog. You may die, but she will forever hold a special place in her heart for you.
And yeah.
So just take that as it is.
And then when you're dead, she can't get mad at you again. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a foolproof plan. You may be dead, but you'd win her over for sure.
Girl math. So Celaena sees all of this happening. She knocks Dorian out so she can run into the portal after them. I'm not sure why she had to knock him out, but we'll continue. She jumps through and she sees an army of demons coming up behind the first demon, who already broke Chaol's swords, leaving him with only his hands to defend baby Fleetfoot. But again, Chaol sees something else entirely. He sees Celaena with the same look of rage on her face when she had come to save him, but along with that, she carried an ancient sword with new, graceful, sharp features and pointed ears. She gets in front of them and blasts the demons away with a wall of blue flames and a loud roar that shows her pointed canine teeth. And Chaol finally sees it, sees her. She is Faye.
Oh, I just got, I literally have full body chills while you were reading that. Oh my gosh. No, we all had suspicions. We all knew that she has some kind of magic in her. And obviously, like, Dorian's expressing magic. I don't know how much farther we're going to go in depth in it in the rest of this episode, but basically in this world, it seems like the bounds of magics, like whatever is holding back magic in Adderlin, does not exist. So whenever she steps into this world, this portal after Chaol, she's like shedding that bound of magic and she becomes Faye.
No, I think that was a good explanation.
We knew our girl, Celaena. We knew she was something special. We knew she had magic in her blood. But lots of people, I don't know how in depth we've talked about this either. Lots of people in this world have different variations of magic before it was banished, dissolved, like,
right,
gotten rid of in some way, shape, or form. But there are very few Fae. Like, Fae is a very different kind of magic.
Species.
And species. So to find out that she's Fae is wild.
Crazy. No, I think that was a really good detail to note because that's something that was holding me up a lot is I could tell that she had some type of magic in her, didn't know what it was. And then when Dorian started showing magic, I'm like, well, how is he able to show magic and she's not? But it seems it's because they clearly have two different types of magic. And in the books, I don't know if I've expressed this either. It's described Dorian's magic as raw magic, which is very strong magic. The fact that it's even here right now in the place that has no magic is showing how strong his magic actually is. So that's an important note as well.
And I'm not disagreeing with you, but there are some things that will come out too as to why Dorian is showing his magic and why no one else on the continent is and why nobody else can.
Okay.
Even other people, other fae that have come to the continent, like fae is a species, but not all fae have specific magic. So even if other fae come to the continent, the magic that they possess otherwise, they can't use here. It's gone. So
interesting.
That's a little food for thought, which we'll get into in the next few books as well. And also, Celaena in this other world, in this portal, she blasted them with, it said, a blue wall of flame. And she had made points in the book where she had expressed, like you were saying, that Dorian had raw magic, saying he could wield it and form it in whatever form that he was able to. It seems like the flame and the fire is her magic and what she can do. Not saying she can't do anything else, but the flames are our girls'
are hers
specialty.
Forte. Yeah, it was saying that whenever she'd cross through and she was doing all this explosion stuff, she was like, whenever I was a fae back yonder, I always manifested in fire. So that seems to be her niche right now, is her fire powers.
If anybody had magic, I would want to be fire, for sure.
No, if we talk about Avatar, have you watched Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Yes.
I would 100% be a Fire Nation queen.
Me too. I think it would be really cool, and I think I would relate to water more. I love water. I feel very flowy, emotional.
That's what I imagine you.
But I think it would be the coolest to have fire. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, that's why I am fire. You can be water.
We'll see. We'll see when we get our magic. We'll see.
All right. When we get our magic. Order some fae ears.
I do have fae ears.
Wait, what?
I ordered them. I ordered them for Elsie.
You need to put those on right now.
I'll bring them out next time. They're in my closet.
Next time. All right. So Chaol grabs Fleetfoot and runs back through the portal while Celaena is holding the demons back with one final blow. She puts all of her fire into the sword she's carrying and shoves it into the ground, which causes the ground to fracture and break, creating this huge gap between the demons and her portal. Drained from using all her power, she collapses. Chaol jumps back into the portal, grabs her, hauls her out, and when she crosses that threshold, she returns back to her human form because, magic is banished. And then Dorian comes back too, and he's like, what the heck just happened?
Poor Dorian.
What did I miss? And she's like, don't worry about it. Shh, don't worry about it. But I do need your blood real quick. So please come here so I can stop these monsters from coming back. And meanwhile, I just feel so bad for Chaol because he's just sitting in shock in the corner right now because he's just seen so much. He saw a demon army, a portal. Celaena is a fae, and Dorian has magic. Can you imagine the shock?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is very shocking. Unfortunately, I think I would be more hype about my friends having that. And I think I would be like upset that they didn't tell me, but more so like, that's so fucking cool. Please tell me more. I don't think that I would be upset. So that's another ding for Chaol in my book.
Yeah, I agree completely. I would also be very excited. But as the empath, shouldn't you be understanding that he was raised to hate magic?
No.
Fair enough. All right. Well, let's keep going.
No, I mean, I get it.
Okay.
I do get it. Like, I get that he was raised to hate magic, but no. You know what? No. He's not young enough to not remember when there was magic out in the kingdom. Like, he was around, I'm sure, magic wielders. And he saw magic disappear and then absolute chaos erupt. And then the king used that to his advantage and take over the entire continent, like, which could not have happened if there were multiple nations of magic wielders. And then he's seen them be murdered for even suspicion of magic. So I think I can understand his fear that two of his closest people have magic, but I can't condone or understand his disgust.
Yeah. No, I think he's an idiot through and through at this point, but oh well.
Oh well.
So let's not forget, though, about our bitch boy Archer, because Celaena didn't. She may be next to dead, but she's got another person on her hit list. So she goes after Archer. She ends up finding him stuck at the gate of the secret exit in the tunnel that she found, you know, to the quarry or whatever. And they start fighting. And while fighting, Archer is still trying to convince her to work with him. And then he has the audacity to tell her if she doesn't, he's learned other ways to persuade her, like his good friend Farron did to Sam. Dude,
first of all, what a dumbass. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. He's got to be, like, we've gone through, like, whiplash with him. We've gone through, like, he's just pretty boy, he's innocent, has no idea what's going on. Then it's like, oh, he's pretty boy, but he's trying to work with Nehemiah to help the rebels. Then we've gone to, oh, he's actually kind of menacing and got Nehemiah killed. And now, to cherry on the icing, he's literally boasting the fact that the person that she loved most, he's friends with the person she's ever loved the most that was murdered by. What an idiot. What an idiot.
Yeah, idiot. Terrible move on his part. And so obviously Celaena thinks the same thing, and she reacts and she gets him pinned. She's got her knife to his jaw, about to slit his throat. And that's when he says his saving grace. Nehemiah wouldn't want this. And Celaena is like, you motherfucker. You're right. So you better leave town now, or else I will find you and I will kill you. And when she turns to walk away to let them separate, this dumbass has the audacity again to say, I always knew you were a good woman, in like a snide, remarkable kind of way. It's not like a compliment. So Celaena turns around, walks all the way back up to his face, looks him in the eye, and says, no, I'm not. And then she stabs him in the heart. Amen.
Honestly, snaps to that. I'm not even mad about that. I get it's murder and all, but like, murder. I think she deserved to murder him. And I know you're going to talk about this in the next little segment, but guess who was watching this whole thing go down, including his little pleas for his life, and then also her sparing him, and then her also chopping his head off.
Yes, exactly what you just said. Chaol did overhear that whole situation go down, so he knows that she gave Archer a chance, and also he never liked Archer to begin with, so he's really not that upset that she got him. And Celaena tells Chaol when she realizes that he's there. She tells him everything that she just learned about Archer, and then she apologizes for trying to kill him. And then when Chaol is back in his room processing everything, he's realizing that Celaena is quite literally in the most dangerous place she could be right now, considering she can open these portals with her magic and she is Fae. So he concocts this plan to have her go to this place called Wendelin. And Wendelin is a land overseas that still has magic and fae, and the king has not been able to infiltrate or conquer it. But in order for this plan to be approved, he's going to need his dad's support, because Dorian would never agree to send Celaena away. And because of everything Chaol just learned, knowing all of his friends are exactly what the king hates, he thinks that he needs to step away from the king's guard. So he promises his dad that he will return home to Anile, reclaim his title, if he supports this plan to get Celaena sent to Wendelin.
That's so hard. I feel like I can see where he's coming from. He's like, oh, my friends are in this terrible position. Like, I need to do something to help them. But also, it's so frustrating, too, because he's not asking her, like, is that what you want? Is that where you want to go? Is that what you want to do? Like, can I help you get out of here? I know you're in a bad place. I feel like he's kind of taking that decision away from her. I feel like he's almost like mansplaining her a little bit.
Yeah. That's a really good way to describe what's happening, because I too agree. I feel like at first when I was reading this, and you guys know I'm a little bit further ahead, so it feels like I'm rereading these whenever we're doing these episodes. But when I was reading this the first time, I was like, oh, he's really being protective for her. He's really concerned for her, blah, blah, blah. And now I'm just like, okay, yeah, exactly that. He's putting himself like in charge of her. Like she can't take care of herself as a human being. Like she knows she's been here this whole time. She knows what she's in and what she's doing. And she's doing half of this stuff on her own.
She's literally been working for the king, the person that literally has like massacred her whole kingdom. She's been staying undercover. She's obviously kept her magic at bay. Like she can't use magic anyway. And like she's here by choice. Like she's trying to get her freedom. And I feel like he's almost jeopardizing that for her a little bit, because if she goes on this place and like messes up or tries to escape or something, like I feel like it's almost putting her in more like danger.
Yeah. Risk for danger. Well, the next day, the meeting happens and the king approves of Chaol's plan, but he makes his own modifications. The king tells her she must leave immediately, and she has 6 months to infiltrate Gwendolyn's naval army and kill the royal family. Dorian's pissed, as expected, but he goes to wish Celaena goodbye, tells her he'll watch after Fleetfoot, and he's going to be leaving all of these royal lineage books that he's been finding in her room to hide. Chaol catches Celaena before she boards her ship to explain everything, like why he made this plan, but he didn't expect for it to be changed this way. He thought she would have the opportunity to be who she really is and run away from the king. And then Celaena explains her suspects about the king and his plans, how he's creating some type of evil associated with these word keys. And before she boards the ship, she whispers a date and tells him something in his ear. She says, "No matter what, I would always choose you." And I was like, this makes me feel like this makes me feel like she's going to be Dorian's mate. Like she's destined to be with Dorian, but she'll always want to be with Chaol. Like she knows that Chaol means well, but like Dorian is destined to be with her for some reason. I don't know. I'm like really stuck on this mate thing.
I feel like I could see that too. But I feel like if Dorian was her mate and she was thinking that in her head, wouldn't she want to be with her mate? I feel like it's almost like this like gravitational pull. So would she really actually always choose him, you know?
Well, it's because I feel like it seems like she's afraid of that part of herself anyways. So I don't know. That's a good question.
I mean, that's a good thought though. Like I like that thought. Like she would always choose him, but why can't she if she has the option? You know what I mean? Like she has the option to choose him.
Yeah.
So I get what your thoughts are. When I was reading this the first time, I was like, well, then choose him. Choose him. He's right there.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm like, I'm so confused right now. What's going on? But anyway, so she whispers that stuff into Chaol's ear, and he's like, what the fuck does that even mean? He runs back to her rooms for some answers and does some snooping. And then he conveniently finds the lineage books that Dorian had dropped off earlier. And he finds the dates that she whispered in his ears, and then he tied it to the dates of the royal family who got killed in Terrasen 10 years ago. He finds these dates detailing of their death and how the assassin who killed the king and queen came back for their daughter and threw her body in the river. And then he reads further and finds a note about ash driver eyes and how they glowed gold and blue. The telltale sign that Celaena was actually Aelin, Ashriver, Galathinius, and the rightful heir to Terrasen. Did you see that coming?
No. When I was reading it, I was shook. I was absolutely shook. My whole entire body was covered in like goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps now too. Like that is such a crazy reveal. And they've talked about Aelin Ashriver Galathinius the entire book as well. Like saying like there's rumors of her being alive. There's rumors that she's working with rebels and like trying to reclaim her title. And people have been telling that to her. And she's like, no, she's dead. Like, I don't know what you're thinking. It's literally been her the entire time.
I feel bad because I feel like I would have definitely been so shocked, but I'm on TikTok and Book Talk, and I see all these things about Throne of Glass. So I've seen Aelin a lot on TikTok, and I knew she was going to be a big character. And as I'm like reading about who Celaena is and like how shady she is about her history, I was like, she's sounding pretty similar to this Aelin chick. So I had a gut feeling that she was Aelin from the get-go just because of that. But I feel like I would have been so surprised if I were just
I mean, I feel like looking back whenever I'm rereading it, like Aelin like Galathinius was mentioned a decent amount in this book, talking about like her return and her rise and stuff like this. And I feel like when you're reading it with that mindset, you're like, oh, like it's mentioned so many times. I can't believe I wouldn't wouldn't guess it. But I feel like Sarah J. Maas or Moss. Somebody the other day was like, it's Moss, and I was like, so sorry. Okay, whatever. But I feel like Sarah does a really great job of. She puts a lot of small details into her books. So though it was mentioned a lot, there's also so many other people that are just mentioned casually in passing that even sometimes don't come up to be anything big. So when you're reading it for the first time, at least for me, without any like outside influence or, you know, like spoilers or anything, I feel like I think she did a really good job of making me not expect it. And there was a lot of people like, I think you're one of the first people that I've met that said that they did see it coming, but that's also because you saw so many things about Aelin and TikToks.
I know, and we need to talk about that too. It's like, how do I even enjoy book talk without getting all of these books ruined for me? Because like everybody's starting to be on the Throne of Glass train. Yeah, the Throne of Glass train right now. And so I'm seeing so much content and I'm like getting introduced people and I'm like, okay, so I know that these are going to be important people somehow.
I feel like with your main TikTok.
But I love it. I still eat it.
I feel like with your main TikTok, you need to stop liking all book talk things. Stop it all.
I just want to be part of the group. That's literally why I'm here.
You might just have to read it faster.
I can't.
Anyways.
So this is my one question I do have about this whole situation, how he figured this out. My question is, how did she not get killed the first time whenever the assassin came in and killed the king and queen? Like, she was in this home too, I feel like, and I don't know how she made it through the night and then the assassin came back and killed her.
So it'll talk more about like that whole thing in Heir of Fire, like that whole kind of event that night and stuff like that. But from my understanding, the royal court, like the king and queen were the intended targets. And I think that there was like a first wave of mass killings and it was the people of like the largest threat. Like they had to get out undetected and kill as many of the most powerful people as possible. And she was like 8 years old. She was a small child. So she didn't make that list of like potential threats that would be an issue to come back and kill type thing. That's what I think anyway. I mean, I'm sure that that's open for interpretation, but that's kind of how I understood it.
No, I think that's valid. That was just like a constant question I always had while I was reading, like up to this point was like, how did she even make it through the first night? Like that doesn't make sense. But it's nice to hear it tie around that there was a mass killing of all of these kingdoms. It wasn't just like one kingdom in particular. So they were just going in for like the heads of the households to make it easier for them to conquer everybody. So that makes sense.
Just to like clarify a little bit, I think that like in the history books, it didn't specifically say in there that they threw her body in the river. They said that it was assumed that she fell in the river because that's where they were like chasing and trying to catch her. And then her body was never recovered. So she's presumed dead. But I think that's why so many people were like a lot of the rebel groups and stuff thinking she was coming back, thinking she could be alive because she at this point had like her body obviously had never been recovered. And they were like, well, who's to say? And I don't think anybody ever really claimed ownership of 100% killing her. She was just lost in the river. So just for a little listener clarification, I think it makes it more clear in the book, but just so everybody kind of is on the same page.
This is why we have you here. You're an elite employee.
You're one of my elite employees.
Okay, and then at the end, we're also learning that the king has been hiding a little uproar happening in Calcula, where Duke Parrington and Roland are right now, which is tea because I thought Parrington was supposed to be in Morath with Caltaine. So is that slave camp in Morath or something like that?
Calcula or some Calcula, whatever. I always say it Calcula, but I want to say it's Calacula. It's a slave camp actually in Yulway, like the sister camp to Endovier. It's located in the desert, so I think it's near Morath, but it's not actually located in Morath. And I think Duke Parrington is like one of like the leading forces as far as like managing like armies and things like that. So I think that's his job. Yeah. But I don't like his main area that he's going to is managing Morath, but he's also trying to handle the slave uprising. So
it's like, what are they doing there? Why are they changing locations that he needs to be governing over this new slave camp instead of here at the castle?
Yeah, we will be hearing a lot about Marath in the upcoming
Tea.
future. Friends.
And then before we finish up, I also wanted to do some more clarification between the difference of word gates and portals. So essentially, the portals can only be opened through the word gates, and that can only be opened very temporarily. And that's usually with the word spells and little seances, so they can open up a portal and then it goes away. But if you were to have a piece of the word keys, then, and those are pieces from the word gate, then you could keep these portals up open indefinitely for however long you wanted. You can utilize other dimensions and the things that are in these other dimensions at your will, and you're just overall are a very powerful being with the more word gate keys that you have. Is that pretty much like the same thing? Because I was pretty confused between like what a word gate was and a portal. I'm like, are these not the same thing?
So this one's a really hard topic to cover. I think that for now, just know that a portal is a small opening that can be made with blood magic or with a word mark with a blood magic user, something like that. Whereas a word gate can be opened with a word key. Like you said, it's a lot bigger. It's a lot more infinite. It's a lot more powerful, and it requires a lot more like dark magic to use it. And we'll talk a whole lot more about those in the future. But for now, I think that's a nice base understanding.
So that was the end of this episode. Do not forget that if you or your friends have any wild stories, we do have our emails open. So if you have any bookish battles is what you can title it, please send it to our emails. We're hoping that we can get enough people to submit to us, and then we can have our little new segment called Micro Peaks. And that's where we want to have more hinge/unhinged discussions based off of these stories that you guys mail in for us.
We would love to read your stories. And just so you know, we have one story submission now. So you're almost guaranteed to get your story read on the air. And if you write in there if you're okay with us including names or not including names. We probably won't use really specific names if it's not mentioned in there that it's cool to use it. However, we will give you an awesome shout out. You will be one of our elite employees.
Yes, that is true.
That's unfortunately all we can offer you at this time.
Just take it or leave it.
Shout out, maybe a TikTok post.
Who knows? It could go viral one day. Your story could make us go viral and make us go crazy, and you really would be an elite employee.
I will say this. If your story makes us go viral, and I mean, I'm talking viral, I will personally Venmo you $10.
Me too.
So $20.
We are willing to give $20 for a story that makes us go viral. That is so funny. Well, you got to do what you got to do. And if this is what we got to do, I'm here for it.
Yeah. So keep that in mind. This is an unheard of type of prize on here. The first offered prize on Plot Peak. So you better jump in on the offer while it's hot.
This is crazy. First of its kind. All right. This is the end of Crown of Midnight. Woohoo! So next week, we are going to be covering Sarah J. Maas's Moss, right?
Yeah, Maas, whatever. I don't know.
Sarah J. Maas, Heir of Fire, chapter 1 through 10.
And be sure to follow us on TikTok and Instagram at plot.peak, and that's P-E-E-K. Somebody was like, is it P-E-A-K? I was like, no. Plot.peak. Yeah, idiot. Anyway, on Instagram and TikTok, the Bookish Battles emails can go to plotpeakgirlies@gmail.com. And thank you so much for listening.
Bye.
Bye.